Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome to the next game in the 1987 American League replay. We're game number 306 on the project. Another game on the May 27th block. We're at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Kansas City Royals taking on the Chicago White Sox. Starting pitchers, left-hander Charlie Leibrandt for the Kansas City Royals and Rich Dotson, a right-hander for the Chicago White Sox. Comiskey Park, pretty symmetrical. Singles 1 to 9 for both left and right. Home runs 1 to 4, left and right. These two teams battling in the AL West, trying to catch first place Oakland. Kansas City is 22 and 20. Chicago is 20 and 21. Good morning, Mr. P. Madoff. I'm guessing that's how you want to pronounce that. Good morning to you. Let's get the Strat-O-Matic computer up so we can get this game rolling. Back to my standard dice, which actually, ironically, kind of fit in with the White Sox uniform. So it actually works out well there. Kind of handles both categories. Although I have to admit that white D20 yesterday behaved fairly well, so I may go back to that. But for today, we're going back to our standard red, white, and black versions. And we'll see what happens. I do have the coffee here for anybody that is not sure. Yep, you got to have the coffee. That is mandatory, at least for me anyway. All right, let's get this ball rolling. Rich Dotson on the real season was 11 and 12 with a 417 earned run average. On the replay, he's surpassed that immensely. He's 4 and 2, but his ERA is only 2.01. Full 2 points less than his real ERA. He's off to a great start. 67 innings pitched, 53 hits, 30 walks, and 38 strikeouts. So he's done very well. Plus, he's got a -5 on his hold. And the catcher Karkovic is a -2 for a -7. But, of course, -5 is all you can have. And so very good chance to thwart some of the base running of the Royals, like Willie Wilson likes to steal bases. Oh, it's Pete. All right, thank you. I want to call you the correct name, correct what you prefer, I should say. Some people like to go by their channel name. Some people like to go by their regular name. I answer to Hey You or Hey Dummy or whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. All right, so Willie Wilson will lead things off. Wilson on the replay hitting .301. 2 homers, 11 driven in. He hit .279 real world. Switch hitter, batting left-handed. That's a 5-6, and that's going to be a ground ball to second. That'll be handled by Fred Manrique. And a good job by Dotson to keep the speedster Wilson off the bases. One away, and here's Kevin Seitzer. He got hopefully he's getting the karma of the thumbnail. That was Kevin Seitzer at bat at Comiskey Park on the thumbnail. So we're trying to give him some karma. He's hitting .267 on the replay, 8 homers, 27 driven in, but he hit .323 real world. So he's been struggling. Trying to give him a little karma, see if that helps. 2-6, 1 to 15 is a single. There you go. He got it. Base hit, Kevin Seitzer. Don't underestimate the thumbnail karma. Now, Seitzer, a 5 or a 6 to get the lead, but once again, Rich Dotson, a -5 on the hold. So even if he obtains the lead, you're talking about a 1 to 8 by the time you count the -2 for being held and the -5 pitcher. So Kevin Seitzer will be held, but he won't go anywhere. Hello, Bob, and hello, Kathy. Yes, coffee is mandatory. Coffee is mandatory. So here's Danny Tartable, right fielder. He's hitting a dead even 300 in 150 at-bats on the replay. 11 homers, 35 driven in. He hit .308 real world. First havoc roll of the game, nothing happening. Here's the pitch to Tartable. 2-8 for Tartable. That's a single. There's an anti-clutch, but there's no runner in score position, and there are not 2 outs. So the single will be good. It goes to right field. So we'll see if Seitzer, he was being held, makes him a 12. But going from first to third on a single to right, you add 2, makes it a 14. And Reedus is a +1 to make it a 15. And if they throw through, Tartable is going to get second base on the overthrow. So Seitzer will get third base. They will hold the ball and keep the double play in order. That's where you got to play both sides, and it's kind of, you kind of have to think it through. Kind of hard to play. You got to play chess. It's kind of hard to play checkers in this. You got to play chess. You got to think for both sides, and you got to think ahead, not just the next move, but the next 5 moves. So, hey Chuck, good to see you. Don't see Jeff here yet, but as he would say, that's good coffee. All right, here's George Orta. He's not done so well on the. This was his last season, I do believe. He only had 50 at bats and hit 180. And on the replay, he's got 33 at bats. And he's hitting 091, no homers and 3 driven in. So Havoc roll. Tartable will be held, he will be held at first base. Here's Orta. 3-6, and that's a ground ball first base B. So with the infield playing back for the double play, that's just going to be a 3-6. But they can't turn the double play, and scoring a run is Seitzer. So the Royals get the first strike here in this game, and they do it on an RBI ground out, fielder's choice by George Orta. Royals lead it 1-0. Orta now the new run at first, but of course he will not be held. Here's Frank White, the veteran. He's hitting 234 on the replay, 4 homers, 12 driven in. He hit 245 real world. That's a 1. So Rich Dotson's wild pitch rating is a 5. And it will be a wild pitch. So Dotson uncorks one. And that will send Orta to second base. So White with a chance. And now he's in a clutch situation since the runner's at second base. So we go check his clutch. He loses a hit on 3-12. And it looks like everywhere else he's neutral. 5-9, and that's going to be a 1 for a triple. Anything else will be a single. It's a single 2 stars, so that wild pitch was very important in producing that run. As Orta, not very fast, but he can score on the 2-star single by Frank White. And the Royals take a 2-0 lead on Dotson, who's being roughly treated here in the first inning after having such a great season so far. But his ERA is booming up here. It was about 2.05. Now it's 2.26. Here's Steve Bye-Bye Balboni. He's only hitting 147 on the replay, 6 homers, 13 driven in. He hit 207 real world. That's another 1. Chance for another wild pitch. And again, the wild pitch rating is a 5. That's an 8. So fortunately for Dotson, it didn't get past Mr. Karkovice. 1-8 for Balboni. Struck him out. You always count on Steve Bye-Bye Balboni to go bye-bye on a strikeout. But Kansas City puts 2 up in the top of the first, and before he even takes the field, Charlie Leibrandt is given a 2-0 lead to work with. Real season, Leibrandt was 16-11 with a ERA of 3.41. On the replay, he is 2-3 with an ERA of 3.13. 69 innings pitched, 57 hits, 19 walks, and 57 strikeouts. Leading off for the White Sox will be Jerry Royster with the lefty on the mound. They benched Darryl Boston in favor of Jerry Royster. Puts him in left field. He's not very good. He's a 4.8. But they want the right-handed bat in the lineup. Royster, if you look at his card, I don't know how well it shows up on here. Kind of hard to see these Strat cards sometimes. But 74% of his at-bats came against left-handed pitching. So he was definitely a platoon player at this point, as he's near the end of his career. Came up in the 70s, so he's at the tail end of his career. Oh, blowing leaves really hard. Well, today I thought would be a perfect day to go out and do some leads, but then I checked the weather and it says gusty winds up to 20 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to rake leaves in 25-mile-an-hour wind. That would just be ridiculous. So I may try it tomorrow, and next week seems to be calmer. So hoping for next week. No rain in the forecast in the foreseeable future, and hopefully 60-degree temperatures with low wind. That makes it perfect. I don't want to go out there and sweat. I'd rather be out there. I'd rather have a little cold to rake leaves, actually. I prefer raking leaves in a sweatshirt and a stocking cap myself. But I just don't want to be out there where it's warm and you got insects flying around and you sweat, and it's not a pretty thing. So Anyway, here's Jerry Royster. He is hitting 359 on the replay and just 39 at bat. So take that with a grain of salt. 2 homers, 4 driven in. He hit 265 real world. So here's Royster. 3-7, and that's a 1-5 single, but that's a 9, so he will line it to Salazar at short, and there is one away. The good thing is the leaves aren't going anywhere. They'll be there when I'm ready for them, so it's not like if I miss them today, I'll miss out and they won't be there tomorrow. They will. Hello, Dr. D. And once again, that's some good coffee. All right, here comes Gary Redus. He's in right field for this one, hitting 255 on the replay, 4 homers, 13 driven in. He hit 236 real world. 4-6, and that is a base on balls. First walk issued by Leibrandt. And now Redus has a chance to get a lead. Leibrandt is a -1. He's a -2 hold, and Quirk's a +1 arm, so a net -1. So it'd still be a 1-16 if he can get the lead. So a 2 through 6 will get Redus the lead. That's an 8, but it's a 1, means he might be picked off. So we look at his secondary number. That's his get-back number, I call it. That's the number where he's safe to get back to first base and not get picked off. That's 1-15. But if we get a 16 through 20, he is picked off. That's an 18. He got picked off. So Gary Redus picked off by Charlie Leibrandt. You can call it caught stealing. I prefer to call it picked off. Trying to get that lead, and Charlie Leibrandt caught him leaning. So 2 away, and that'll send up Harold Baines. That's the danger sometimes of trying to get a lead, even though it looks like it might be successful. You get that 1 there, and the double dive, since I've gone back to this dive from yesterday, back to the traditional black die, the double die has shown up in full force. So here is Harold Baines, the designated hitter. He's hitting 301 on the replay, a homer and 10 driven in. Hit 293 real world. 6-6 lefty. That's a 1-8 single. That's a 16 though, so he's going to line it to Frank White, and that will end the inning. So the pickoff takes any momentum the White Sox might have had away. And at the end of 1, it is Kansas City 2 and Chicago nothing. So Dodson back out, and he'll be facing Beniquez in left field. For some reason, Bo Jackson has not been playing the last couple of games. I don't know if he's dinged up or just in a slump or whatever, but the real-world manager has not had him in the lineup. He's available to pinch hit, but right now we're going with Juan Beniquez in left field because that's who they went with. He is a better fielder with a 2 instead of Bo Jackson's 4. Of course, his arm not as good, but the error rating is lower, and so maybe it's for defensive purposes. I don't know. But Beniquez on the replay hitting 260, 4 homers, 22 driven in. He at 251 real world. 3-8, and that's a ground ball to short. Ozzie Guillen will take care of that. And that'll bring up Angel Salazar. Salazar, 250 hitter, 2 homers, 10 driven in, and he hit 205 real world. 6-9 for Dotson. That's a fly ball to center field. And Ken Williams will make that catch in center. 2 down. For Jamie Minute Quirk, the catcher. On the replay, he's hitting 259. No homers and 8 driven in. He hit 236 real world. That's a 4-4 left-hander. Ground ball third base X. We are looking at Tim Hewlett. He's a 4E22. First defensive X check of the game, a 4E22. 4-19, he will get to that. E22 and a 6 at third base. There is no 6 there, so Hewlett will make the play, and it's 3 up, 3 down go the Royals here in the second inning. And we go to the bottom of the second. Score still 2-0. 2-0. And we start the bottom of the second with Greg Walker, first baseman, cleanup hitter. It is a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Walker hitting 236 on the replay, 4 homers, 16 driven in. He at 256 real world. Lefty on lefty, 3-8, and that is a ground ball to second. Frank White is there. Well, this tape is just not working for me. That's what you get for buying cheap tape. All right, so there's one away, and here's Tim Hewlett. Third baseman hitting 221 on the replay, 4 homers, 15 driven in. He had 217 real world. 4-6, and that's going to be a base on ball. Second walk issued by Lee Brandt. Hewlett, however, will not attempt to get any kind of lead. He will not even be held. He's not a very fast runner. So Ken Williams, center fielder, only had 19 at-bats so far since his call up. So he's hitting 105 in those 19 at-bats. No homers or runs driven in. But in real world, once he gets going, he hit 281 with 11 home runs. So he's certainly capable, just off to a slow start at the moment. That's a 3-2, and that's a ballpark single check. First time going to the ballpark. 1-9 for both lefties and righties, but that's a 16, so he will line it to short. 2 down, and that will bring up Ozzie Guillen. Guillen hitting 262 on the replay, a homer and 11 driven in. He at 279 in the real season. 2-8. And that's a lefty. That's a single to right field. There's an anti-clutch, but the runner is not in scoring position. So the single's going to stand. And the right fielder, Tartable, has a 0 arm. So if Hewlett wants to go to third, he may have the opportunity right here. He's a 13. Not being held is a 14. 2 outs makes him a 16. And right field to third base, you add 2 more, makes him an 18. So Hewlett's going to get third base without a throw because they want to keep Guillen at first base. So we'll get the single to third and go to third base, Will Hewlett. So with 2 outs and runners on the corners, let's see if Guillen wants to try to get a lead. 6 or a 7 will get him that lead. He does not get the lead. He will hold. So here's Fred Manrique, second baseman. He's hitting 241 on the replay, a homer and 9 driven in. He had 258 real world. 6-4, and that is a ground ball third base X. We're looking at Kevin Seitzer. He's a 4.26. That can be trouble, that 4. 4 and a 4, that's going to be a base hit. Devil Die comes in low as usual. 4 and a 4 is a single 2 stars. And that is this could be even more problem. That's a 16, and he's an E26. That could be insult to injury right here. But there is no 16. There's a 10, 11, 15, and 17, but no 16. So it will just be a single 2 stars, which will score Hewlett and send Guillen to third base. RBI single from Fred Manrique, and the lead is cut to 2-1. And here's a situation where had they thrown through to third base to get Hewlett, Guillen would have taken second on the throw and would have scored on this base hit. So right now they're keeping Guillen from crossing the plate, but you never know. All right, so here's Fred Manrique. He needs a 6 or a 7. He gets a 7. He's going to go. 15 minus 2 being held is a 13, minus 1's a 12. 1 to 12, he steals it. And he's in there. Stolen base for Manrique. Some people think that might be a little bit haphazard to do that with the runner on third already and 2 outs. But, hey, if you could take advantage and now a base hit can get you the lead. You got 2 runners in scoring position for Ron Karkovice, albeit a very bad hitter in Ron Karkovice. Karkovice hit .071 in the real season and 85 at bats. He did hit 2 home runs, but look at his card. He does not have a single hit on his own card. Anything he gets will come off the pitcher card. If it's on his own card, the best he could do is draw a walk. That's how bad he is. So on the replay, he is hitting a $120. No homers or runs driven in. He had, like I said, .071 real world. Runners on the corners and 2 outs, 1 in. He obviously has no clutch here because he didn't get any hits. So it's kind of hard to take away a clutch hit or give him a clutch hit when he had no clutches. 3-7, that's a strikeout, and that will end the inning. That's the first strikeout for Lee Brandt. But the White Sox cut into that lead, cut it to a 2-1 ball game as we go to the top of the third. Top of the third we go. And top of the order, Willie Wilson back up to the plate. 2-3, and that's a hit by pitch. He gets plunked. Willie Wilson shaking it off, but he gets hit by the pitch, and he'll be looking to try to get the lead. 3 through 6 will get him that lead. He does not get it, so he's going to have to hold. Here's Kevin Seitzer. It's a 3-7, and that is a strikeout. Second strikeout, rather, for Dotson. One away. Wilson still at first. And again, somebody asked this earlier in one of the comments. My house rule, I mean, people can play it different. I can say play the game the way you want to play it. But in my world, once a runner tries to get the lead and can't get it, I don't revisit that. He just stays there. I'm saying he can't get the lead for the whole time until he gets to a new base. But as long as he's at first base, Wilson, I'm not going to try to get the lead again for him. So, like I said, that's my house rule. Some people play it where you try to get the lead every at bat. It's totally up to you. All right, there's a 1. So Rich Dotson, his wild pitch rating is a 5. That's the beauty of what they call house rules. And that's a 6, so he does not get the wild pitch. Here's Tartable. 4-6, and that's a ground ball, second base C. That'll get the runner to second base. But now there are 2 outs. But he is in scoring position, so I guess that counts for something. But it's going to take a hit from George Orta to get him home. Wilson's not going to be held because with him running at a 17, there's already being 2 outs. That makes him a 19. Virtually impossible to throw him out. So they'd rather keep the infield back and try to knock down, potential ground ball. 5-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. So that's a good sign. Had they been holding the runner, the shortstop would have lost a range because he would be responsible for holding the runner on second with the lefty up. So Guillen is a 221, but had we been holding him, he'd have been a 321. So by not holding him, we keep the 2 there. So we get a 2 and a 15, which I think a 3 and a 15 would have worked just as well, but you don't know that. 2 and a 15 is a G1. That's an 11, and he is an E21 at shortstop. E21, the only errors are 6, 15, and 17. So Guillen will make the play to end the inning. So ground ball to Guillen ends the inning. And the leadoff hit by pitch does not come in to damage the White Sox. Go to the bottom of the 3rd. And it'll be the top of the order for the White Sox. Hello, the Rising. I got these score sheets from Spokane. In fact, I was thinking about saying this anyway, so the Rising, she kind of teed it up for me. I was going to give a special shout out. I was hoping he was here, but I don't see him here. Jeffrey Guterman, because he is the inspiration for me even doing this replay, watching his season replay in the 1969 replay, and then following up with the 62 replay that he started, got me into thinking of what fun it would be to do a project where you play every game. And obviously I couldn't do it for both leagues because it would take like 5 years, but I decided to do the American League. And so watching him play those games while I was driving around every morning at work inspired me to even do this kind of replay to begin with. So I want to give a shout out to him for sure. He uses the standard Strat score sheet B, the old-fashioned version you get from the company. The only problem is that you get one line for your pitchers for both teams. So you have to kind of like hope you don't use more than 3 pitchers, because you put the visiting pitcher in the line 1, the home pitcher in line 4, and then hope you don't use more than 3 pitchers, which was kind of, confusing. And there's a lot of places for notes that I didn't really think had to be there, but it's just my opinion. But Spokane Steve, and he got it from somewhere else. I don't know where he got it from either, but it was him originally I saw use this particular score sheet. And so he sent me a PDF on it. So the Rising, if you want to get a copy of this, I'll be more than happy to email you a copy of the PDF, and that goes for anybody that wants it. I will put my email in the chat box, and don't hate me because I still use AOL. So that's my email. So if you want to email me and request a PDF score sheet, it is 2-sided. So you can print both sides. And like Dr. D says, I already sent it to him a while back, and he seems to be enjoying it. I'm certainly enjoying it since Steve sent it to me. But the two guys that really got this, and I don't think I would be doing this project without this score sheet. I don't think I could do that with a score sheet B. I mean, it worked for Jeff, but it wasn't going to work for me. So between the two, that's what got this off the ground and got it going. And that's correct, Dr. D. That was my whole point, was not having the two boxes for the pitchers. Particularly, I mean, you can get away with it in 1969 or 1962 because they didn't use that many pitchers. But once you start getting to more modern seasons, and not 87 is not exactly modern, but if it's modern enough where they use enough pitchers to go around. So, yeah, special thanks to Jeff and to Spokane Steve. They were both the inspirations of how this gets done. Jeff for watching his replay, and Spokane Steve for sending me the score sheet. So anybody wants a score sheet, just email the thing, and I will email it to me. And after the game is over, or whenever I get your email, I will send it to you. It's PDF, two-sided, and very, very simple to print out, multiple copies, and you're ready to go. And yes, you do have room for notes as well. Yep, absolutely. When I do the Demolition League, I put my notes in here about who has to rest and stuff like that. Or if I do pinch hitters, I could put notes in here for pinch hitting, all sorts of things, whatever you want, basically. But it gives you plenty of room. And also you have a lot of room in the box here to put results. And also it separates the teams. When Jeff did his on the score sheet B, it's all one column, and he had to put boxes around the break between one team to the other. So that's something I didn't like either. Yes, Dr. D. I keep them right here. I know it's very messy, but I have a big accordion folder, and these are all the score sheets. Back when I started, I was using these kind of score sheets. When I started this, I was using this kind of score sheet, and then it morphed over into this kind of score sheet where I was printing it out, and then eventually it morphed into this score sheet. So it's been a work in progress, but I have all these score sheets all in date order in my accordion folder. I would probably need 2 accordion folders because I don't think I'm going to have enough room in there to get all the way through the end of the season. So probably maybe do one for April, May, and June, and then do another one for July, August, and September is probably what I'll end up doing. All right. So anyway, side note, but since it was brought up about the score sheet, that triggered me to think about what I was going to say anyway, because I really did want to give out a appreciation to Jeff and to Spokane Steve. 2 fine gentlemen. All right, here's Jerry Royster. 6'9", and that's a pop out to first base, and that's 1 away. But let me get to the thing here. Pop out to first base. 1 down, and back to Gary Reedus. He walked and was picked off his first time up. 6-7, that's a strikeout for Lee Brandt. That's strikeout number 2. Friday's game on Friday morning will be Milwaukee at Minnesota. Bill Wegman against Frank Viola. That'll be the matchup on tomorrow morning to complete the May 27th date. Here's Harold Baines. Oh, we got to hop in dice, and my rule is all the dice have to be flat and in the tray, or they don't count. So I re-roll it. 2-3, and that is a line out to short. I'm sorry, 2-3 over here to the lefty is a ground ball to first. I had to make sure I was going to the lefty there, not the righty. They're both out, so it really doesn't matter at this point. So a ground out right to Balboni to end the inning. We go to the 4th. Score still 2-1, Kansas City. Frank White is your batter. White singled his first time up, scoring George Orta. So he has an RBI single his first chance. 6-5 is going to be a fly ball to left field. Hauled in out there by Jerry Royster, 1 away. And here is Steve Balboni. Bye-bye, Balboni. Struck out his first chance. 112. But this time, as in paid homage to Jeffrey, clean as a baby's ass right there, to use a phrase that Jeff has coined. That's when you don't need the definition of that is you don't need the D20 to determine whether it's a home run or not, like you do on a ballpark check or a split check. This is straight up in big bold print. 112 is a home run for Steve Bye-Bye Balboni as he sends it bye-bye. And that is going to be a 3-1 lead for Kansas City. For Balboni, that's home run number 7 on the replay, RBI number 14. In the real season, Balboni had 24 home runs. That's home run number 7. Clean as a whistle. If you want to clean it up and not use the word ass, you can say clean as a whistle. All right. Here is Juan Beniquez. Hold on. What is it? Hold on here. What did you say? Yeah, the email is my first name, the first letter of my last name, David A, and then, did I type it in wrong? No, 5205. Now, where that came from, and actually the A is not really it's not from my last name, although my last name does start with A. But really where that came from was I used to have season tickets to the minor league Richmond Braves. And my season ticket, I sat in section 205, row A, seat 5. That was my season ticket seat. So the 205 was the section at the stadium. The row A was the front row of that upper deck. And then 5 was the seat number. So that's where that came from. So it's David A 5205, not the letter O, but the number 0. And then at AOL.com. And it should not kick back if you do that. Hello, Bart. Good to see you. So it should not kick back if you do that. So if you want to give it a try, again, it shouldn't kick back. All right, so here is Juan Beniquez after the home run from Mr. Bye-Bye. 3-6, and that's a ground ball to short. 2 down. And that'll send us to Angel Salazar. Also, Argenis Salazar is another name I've seen him use. That might be his more formal name. 3-8, and that is a fly to center. But the home run from Balboni gives the Royals a 3-1 lead after 3.5 innings of play. And speaking of Royals, it's given Dotson a royal pain. But the White Sox still have a few innings left to make up ground, so we'll see if that happens. Leading off would be Greg Walker, first baseman. 1-7, lefty on lefty is a base on balls. And that'll send up Tim Hewlett. He walked and scored first time up. That's the 3rd walk for Leibrandt, actually. 1-8 against the lefty Leibrandt. Ground ball third base A. That's a round the horn 5-4-3 double play. Pitcher's best friend right there for Leibrandt as he induces the double play. 2 quick outs now, and Ken Williams, the batter. Line to short his first time up. 2-12, and that's going to be a ground ball third base A. Or another ground out to end the inning. So we go to the 5th. It is still 3-1 Kansas City over the White Sox. Michael, I just got your email, so when the game is over, I will send you the score sheets. It's a PDF 2-sided score sheet is what it is. I don't know if I titled it Strat Score Sheet. I titled it something along those lines. Let's see here. Charlie Lee Brandt got out of that. So now we're going back to the top of the 5th for Rich Dotson. Both pitchers have fatigue of 7, so they're good to go for a little bit. Jamie Quirk. Oh, it did. I put an extra 2 in there by mistake. Okay, well, that can happen. You can get type dyslexic a little bit, I guess. All right, here is Jamie Quirk. Jamie Quirk, the batter. .47 lefty. Ground ball second base X. We are looking at I'm sorry, not Frank White. We're looking at Manrique, 3E13. 3 to 12, he'll get to that. E13 and an 11 for second baseman. There's no 11 there, so it's good play for Manrique, and Jamie Quirk is out of there. 1 away. One down, and go back to the top of the order for Willie Wilson. 5-6. Wilson switch hitter batting left. That's a ground ball to second. That's 2 away. So 2 down, 2 up and 2 down for Dotson. And it'll bring up Kevin Seitzer. 3-2 to the lefty. He's going to line it out to Guillen at short. And that's a quick 1-2-3 inning turned in by Rich Dotson to keep his team in the game, keeping it 3-1. But he's not getting any run support as of yet. And here is Guillen to lead off. It'll be Guillen, Manrique, and Karkovice due up. And Guillen, first time up, he's singled. 5-5 left-handed is going to pop. I'm sorry, 5-5 over here is going to be that's a big difference between a 4-5 and a 5-5. 5-5 is going to be a single. So Guillen 2 for 2. And we'll see if he can get a lead. Needs a 6 or a 7. Does not get the lead, so he can't quite get that done. And that will send up Fred Manrique. It's a 3-10 left-handed, and that's a base on balls. And now White Sox putting some base runners on, kind of trying to put the pressure on. And Karkovice, a horrible hitter, but he's not that great of a. This would be the perfect time to bunt, but he's really not a great bunter. That's the problem. He is a terrible bunter. Boy, did we try to bunt here? Do we go? And he would be a D bunter because they're going to play the corners in. I'm afraid he's going to have him swing away. Hope he doesn't hit into a double play if you're the White. 3-8, he strikes out. That's probably the lesser of the evils right there. Third strikeout for Lee Brandt. And the Strat computer gives me the as played, Dr. D. But I do go to Retro Sheet just to verify sometimes. But the Strat computer does give me it comes up with the as played lineups. So that's one of the ways that I will do that. All right, let's see something here real quick. Mike, I'm going to see if I can send you that email right now while we're on here. So let me find the one that, I don't remember, Strat score sheet. I think I just called it Strat score sheet, but maybe I didn't call it something else. I don't know. Sure I got the right wording here because I have a whole bunch of PDF files all over my computer here. So let me make sure I've got the right name. If I can find it here, it's in here somewhere. I got so many PDFs on my screen, it's pathetic. Pull this up here real quick to make sure I'm sending you the proper one. sure it shows up the way it's supposed to. Hopefully. Yep, that's it. All right. All right, Michael, so your email is on the way with your files called Strat Score Sheet Blank is the title of it. And I just shot that over to you. So you should get that momentarily. Like I said, it is two-sided, so you can obviously save paper by using the printing on both sides. So let me catch up on my computer work here. On the computer, I didn't put in the inning that the Royals had done. It's a 1-2-3 inning, fortunately, so it won't take long. And now with the White Sox, we got Guillen singling. We've got a walk to Manrique and a strikeout to Karkovice, and we're all up to speed now. So we're back to the top of the order with 1 out and 2-1 for Jerry Royster. Get a 5-4, right-handed. That's an in-home run chance, 1-11. He does have normal power, but that's a 17, so he'll settle, in air quotes, with a double. That'll score Guillen. We'll see about Manrique. Can he come across with the tying run is the question. The double is assumed to go to center field when it's not listed in the on the card. And Willie Wilson's a +2 arm, so you got Manrique as a 13. He was not being held as a trail runner, makes him a 14. Then you got the +2 arm, makes him a 16. And if they throw to the plate, Royster will take third. So I think he's going to go. They're going to go ahead and They want to keep Royster at second base. So it's going to be a 2-run double off the bat at Jerry Royster. That's why he's in there against the lefty. And we got a tie game at 3. You can question whether you should throw through or not, but if you throw through and don't get him, Royster goes to third with less than 2 outs, and you got to bring the infield in, sacrifice fly, scores him. All sorts of bad things can happen. Hello, Mr. Praise Cruz. Good to see you. All right, so here's Reedus. Score is now tied at 3. 1-3, and that's a ballpark single check. 1-9, that's a 6. It's a base hit. Puts runners on the corners. Lee Brandt starting to fade a little bit. And here's Harold Baines, the lefty-on-lefty matchup against the Hall of Famer. And it's runners on the corners. Reedus can try to get the lead. Let's see. He needs a 2 through 6 to get the lead. He was picked off trying to get a lead the first time. Does not get the lead, so he will hold. And here comes Harold Baines. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Enjoy. I know I'm enjoying them. With hopping dice. Hold on. Let's redo this. The hopping dice syndrome here. 4-7. Lefty is a ground ball second base X. Chance for a double play if they can turn it. Frank White's a 2E11. The double die comes up with a 2 just when they didn't need it. 2 and a 2 is going to be a base hit. Double die strikes again. That will score Royster, and the White Sox will take a 4-3 lead. Going to second is Reedus. We'll check for an error. That's a 15, and he is an E11. There's a 15 on top of it right here. 11 is a 15. That's going to add injury to the insult, and that will put Reedus over to third, courtesy of the E4, and will move Baines to second. So we get a single plus an error, and that is on Frank White. And that's going to put runners at second and third now, and the White Sox lead at 4-3. Infield for Kansas City will now come in. Greg Walker is your batter. And bullpen activity for the Royals starting to pick up. Infield is in. Hello, John. Good to see you. Infield is in for Greg Walker. Second and third, only 1 out, but 3 runs are in, and the White Sox lead at 4-3. Lee Brandt on the ropes, 4-8. That's a fly ball center field B. That'll be a sacrifice fly. That's an unearned run thanks to that error by White that put Reedus at third base to begin with. Sacrifice fly, RBI for Greg Walker. We've got a 4-score Abraham Lincoln inning going right now. 4 runs in. 2 outs for Tim Hewlett. It is now a 5-3 White Sox lead. 6-7, and that is a strikeout for Leibrandt to end the inning. But the White Sox send 8 to the plate. 4 of them score, and we go to the 6th inning with the score now adjusted: Chicago 5 and Kansas City 3. So definitely a turn of events in the right way if you're a Chicago fan, the wrong way if you're a Kansas City fan. But that has given Rich Dotson new lease on life. He now has the lead. And he's going to be facing Tartable, Orta, and White for the Royals here in the top of the 6th. There will be a 7th inning stretch break because I'm going to need to heat my coffee. So we'll have a 7th inning stretch take me out to the ball game break while I heat my coffee. That plays for about 45 seconds to allow me time to go downstairs and nuke the coffee and come back, rather than just have dead air. Yeah, the coffee's already, I can already taste it. It's already lukewarm at best. So here's Tartable, 1-4. And that's a split chance, 1-3. That's a 10. So liner to short. Kean is there. 1 away. Royals do have Bo Jackson on the bench to pinch hit if need be. So that comes in the 7th inning or later. Here's George Orta, 6'4", left-handed. That's a ballpark blast. A 4, but that's an 18. So Orta will just fly it to right field. 2 down. 4, Frank White. 1-7, and that's a strikeout. To end the inning for Dotson, that is strikeout number 3. All right, bottom of the 6th we go. Leibrandt back out, but he's on shaky ground. He's already given up 5 runs. 1 more run, he will be fatigued. And the Royals may be looking to their bullpen. It'll be Ken Williams, Ozzie Guillen, and Fred Manrique due up. 1-8 is a strikeout. So Leibrandt comes through with a strikeout there. That's strikeout number 4 for him. And that'll bring up Ozzie Guillen. Guillen, 2 for 2. 2-5, not anymore. He lines it out to Frank White for out number 2. And that'll send up Fred Manrique. Manrique is 1 for 1. Single, stolen base, a walk, and a run scored. 1-7. He will strike out this time, though. Strikeout number 5 for Leibrandt. So he seemed to have righted the ship. And just at the right time, too. Still 5-3 after 6 complete. Don't know if Royals can get any more runs off Dotson, though. He seems to have settled down quite a bit. This is the fatigue inning for both pitchers, so we'll keep an eye on that. Here's Bye-Bye Balboni. He homered his last time up. He's doing what Balboni does. He struck out the first time, homered the second time. Feast or famine, as they say. So let's see what Balboni can do here against Dotson. That's a 3-8. I know it's kind of getting off the page there a little bit, so I'll bring it in. 3-8 is a fly ball to center field. That is handled by Ken Williams. 1 away for Juan Beniquez. 1-4, and that's a 1-5 triple. Anything else is a single. The Devil Dies a 2, so counted a triple for Juan Beniquez. And on the season, he had 1 triple. And that was it right there. He gets traded to Toronto later, by the way. But he gets a triple here. And unfortunately, on the Strat, that's his 3rd triple of the replay. He's getting triples off the pitcher card, obviously, or either this one or that number is coming up more than it should. But anyway, he's at 3rd with 1 out. Normally, I would not allow the triple if it gets out of hand, but since it came off his own card, I'm going to let him have it. If it had been a triple off the pitcher card, I might have reduced it to a double like the computer does, but I'm not going to do it here when it comes off his own card. Here is Salazar. We are in the area now where you can start pinch hitting because we're in the 7th inning. Question is, do they want to hit for Salazar? They got a runner on 3rd with 1 out. They got to get that run home. So we may be looking at a pinch hitter here, and we are. Thad Bosley will pick up a bat and hit for Kansas City. And the new shortstop will be Bill Pecota. He will take over at short. So Bosley will pinch hit, and this is where this nice white area gives you a room to make notes. So Bosley will pinch hit here in the 7th. And then Pecota will play short in the bottom of the 7th. So Bosley pinch hitting. And then Pecota will take over at short. So the infield for the White Sox, with one out, they will play in. They did not want to give up a cheap run, that's for sure. They don't want to just surrender a run without making them work for it. So Bosley will come in, pinch hit for Salazar. Bosley on the replay is hitting 205, 2 homers, 7 driven in. He hit 279 in the real season. So Dotson with a runner at third, infield in. Here's the pitch to Bosley. 4-4. Ground ball third base X. We're looking at Hewlett. He's a 4E22. 4E22. Well, we got a hopping dice. I'm going to re-roll that. Not sure why the dice like to hop so much, but they do. 4 and a 16, so that could very well freeze the runner. 4 and a 16 is a G2. G2 on the 4 and 16. And that's a 7. Hewlett is a 22. There is no 7, so it's a G2. G2 with the runner on third, and the infield in is calling decide. Lead runner can attempt to advance a base, compute his safe chances, running speed -4 plus fielder rating. All right, the running speed on the guy at third, Beniquez, is an 11. So he's an 11. And it says you calculate the running speed plus or -4 plus the fielder's defensive rating. The fielder defensive rating is a 4, and so the -4 and the +4 cancel out. It's basically a 1 to an 11. You can try to send him on a 1 to an 11. If they throw the plate and it's a 12 to 20, you're out. If they don't throw the plate, of course, obviously they would take the shore out, but you wouldn't play the infield in and take the shore out. So 55% chance if they want to send him. Boy, I just don't trust that D20. So they're going to hold Beniquez at third base. They just don't trust it. So now with 2 outs, it brings up Jamie Quirk. Quirk only hit 236 on the season, so we could be looking at another pinch hitter for the Royals. But he is a lefty, so I think we're going to keep him in there. So Quirk's going to stay in to hit. With Beniquez, that's a 2. Chance for a balk or pass ball. They might get a cheap run off a balk or pass ball. That's a balk chance, but Dotson has 0 balk rating. 5 wild pitch and 0 balk. So no balk. So Quirk's going to have to earn it. 5-8, and he does. 5-8's a 1 to 6 double. That's a 1. Devil dies a 1, so it's a double for Jamie Quirk. Coming in to score is Beniquez, and the lead is cut to 5 to 4. So Jamie Quirk comes through with a base hit. 5 to 4. Dotson's on the verge of fatigue now as he's given up. If he gives up one more base runner, I believe he will be fatigued. Here's Willie Wilson. Dotson to Wilson. 2-7, and that's a ground ball to third. That's going to end the inning. But Kansas City picks up a run on a clutch 2-outs double by Jamie Quirk to cut the lead to 5 to 4 as we head to the 7th inning stretch, which for me means coffee time. So while I go heat up my coffee, we will have the 7th inning stretch take me out to the ball game. So you can stand and stretch. I'm going to stretch by walking downstairs. That'll be my way of stretching. But you guys can do whatever you wish. So while I heat my coffee, it is time for the take me out to the ball game. All right, we are back from the 7th inning stretch, and it is time to move on to the bottom of the 7th. We will need a new shortstop for Kansas City on the computer, and that is going to be Mr. Bill Pacoda. He takes over at short, bats in the number 8 position, formerly held by Salazar. So Lebrand is still in there. This is his fatigue inning. He'll be facing Karkovice, Royster, and Reedus. You sometimes may wonder, why don't you hit for Karkovice? Well, they're ahead for one thing, and he's a great defensive catcher, 2-2 arms. So, and he's got you don't want him to spoil the chemistry between him and the starter. So Karkovice will hit against Lebrand. 5-11, and that's a ballpark blast. Look at that. 5-11 is a ballpark blast. That's a 13 though, so it's going to be out of range, but it'll be a deep fly. So he almost got into one there, but couldn't quite do it. We did get into one, but it's not enough. So it's one away. Back to the top of the order for Jerry Royster. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, it'll be the final game from May 27th. It'll be Milwaukee at Minnesota. Bill Wegman against Frank Viola from the Metrodome. Here's Royster. 2-11, and that is a fly to center field. 2 away as Wilson tracks it down. And that'll bring up Gary Reedus. 6-4, and that is a ground ball third base X. So third baseman is Seitzer, a 4E26. 4-16, he'll get to that. E26 and 11. We'll see if that's a problem. And it is. E26, there's an 11 right there. 10 and 11 right there together under the E26. So that will be an error on Seitzer. He boots it. Second error on Kansas City. One on Frank White and now one on Seitzer. And that'll put the speedy Reedus at first base, where he's going to try to get the lead. 2 through 6 will get him the lead. Does not get it, so he will hold. And here's Harold Baines. Kansas City bullpen is active. They do have activity in the bullpen. They do have right-hander Dan Quisenberry loosening the bullpen. But we'll see what happens with Lebrand, see how far he can go. Harold Baines. 1-5, and that's a ground ball second base A. It's a 4-6. Well, it's already 2 outs, so it doesn't matter. Just a 4-3 ground out to end the inning. So the error does not come back to hurt them. And Lebrand actually continues to have some endurance into the 8th inning, so they'll let him keep going. We go to the 8th. It's still 5-4 in favor of the White Sox. And we will start the top of the 8th. White Sox bullpen is in full bloom. And we have, let's check the computer to make sure I'm not overusing anybody. Let's see here. Oh, I see a change I didn't realize. So I was thinking about bringing this guy in. Then I checked the roster. He's not on the roster. He must have been injured or sent down or whatever. So can't use Bobby Thigpen, that's for sure. We're going to have to go to their minors, which fortunately for me is just a few feet away in these envelopes. So let me go to the White Sox minor leagues and pick up Neil Allen, who has been added to the roster, while Bobby Thigpen. So Neil Allen, that's my minor leagues right there. My minor league, I have a separate envelope for the minor leagues. So we go to the minor leagues, and first one right on top is Neil Allen. So Neil Allen is loosening in their bullpen. Neil Allen will later go to the Yankees during the season, but right now he's with the White Sox. So Neil Allen is loosening in the bullpen. Bobby Thigpen is to the minors or injured or whatever. So Neil Allen is loosening the bullpen in case Dotson runs into trouble. And let's see, Neil Allen had 11 starts, but he also had a relief rating as well. So he kind of went both ways on that, but he's certainly the freshest out of the bullpen since he just arrived. Here's Seitzer. 2-4, and that's a ground ball to third. Oops, for Tim Hewlett. One away. And that will send up Danny Tartable. Six eight for Dotson. 6-8 is a 1-9 single. That's a 4. It'll be a base hit for Tartable. Now the tying run is on base. Danny Tartable. And Tartable will not be held. He won't go anywhere. Here's George Orta. Dotson to Orta. 3-6 for Orta. 3-6 is a ground ball first base B, so it's fielder's choice. Walker will go to Guillen for the force. And the new base runner is Orta, but he's going to be pinch run for. They will pinch run for Orta. And they will go to Little. And I do mean Little. I do mean Little. Buddy Biancalana will pinch hit. Or pinch run, rather. So Buddy Biancalana is going to come in and pinch run for George Orta. And he will stay in the game as DH. So Buddy Biancalana running for Orta. Frank White, the batter. And Frank White, well, Biancalana not going to be held, obviously. He does run a 13, which is 2 numbers better than Orta's 11. So he's in there to see if he can score on an extra base hit. There's Frank White. 1-9 for White. He's going to walk, and I think that might do it for Dotson. I think he's now reached fatigue, but I'll let the computer confirm that. But I'm pretty sure this walk has made him fatigued, and it has. So Steve Balboni is your scheduled batter, but he won't be facing Dotson. They will be bringing in Neil Allen. Neil Allen will be coming on to pitch for the White Sox. He does get traded to the Yankees later on in the season, but with the White Sox and Yankees together, he was 0-8 with a 5.93 ERA. Not a very good season, obviously. Some reason the Yankees wanted him, and I don't know why, but they did. But we're going to see what happens here with the White Sox. Allen is a -1, so it makes him a -3 on the hold. So first and second with 2 outs. And we'll get the numbers on Dotson at the end of the inning. But right now, Neil Allen facing bye-bye Balboni in a clutch situation. And for Balboni against a right-hander in the clutch, looks like he's neutral to me. He's completely neutral, is Balboni. That's a 1-8, and he's going to strike out. So Neil Allen strikes out Balboni to get out of the inning. How about that? Neil Allen does the job and gets out of the inning. So we'll go to the bottom of the 8th with the score still 5-4. And now we'll get the final numbers on Mr. Dotson, who's in line to get the win. And a win would make him 5-2. So on this game, he goes 7 2/3. He's going to give up 7 hits and 4 runs. They were earned. Walks 1, strikes out 3. Gave it the 1 home run to Balboni, but that was it. So now Liebrandt's going to come on and face Walker, Hewlett, and Williams. Although Quisenberry might come in. They're going to probably have Liebrandt just face Walker and then bring in Quisenberry to face Hewlett and Williams is my guess. But we'll see how it plays out. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Here is Walker. 3-10, and that's a ground ball right back to Liebrandt. 1 away. Liebrandt has actually kept Hewlett in check pretty much. He is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. But I think they're going to make the move right here. They're going to go ahead and bring in Quisenberry for Liebrandt. So we'll finish off Liebrandt at 7 1/3 innings. And we'll go to the Strat computer and get the full numbers on Lee Brandt. And for Charlie Lee Brandt, he's in danger of dropping to 2 and 4 on the replay. 7 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 were earned, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Quisenberry on the real season was 4 and 1 with a 2.76 ERA. He's a 0 hold, so that's a +1. And we'll check and see what Quisenberry has done on the replay. He's kind of been their de facto closer, him and Steve Farr, but Farr has been struggling a bit, so they've been going to Quisenberry more often. Quisenberry in the game, he is in the replay rather, is 4 and 1, same as what he was here, 4 and 1. He had 8 saves real world. He's got 3 saves so far in the replay. 1.90 earned run average, 24 innings pitched, 25 hits, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So he will be facing Tim Hewlett. 6-7 for Quisenberry. And that is a ground ball shortstop X. And that is going to be the new shortstop, Bill Pacoda. I tell you, bring in a new shortstop and the ball will find you. Or bring in a new fielder. The ball will find you. Pacoda at short, not the best in the world. He's a 4.E19. 4.E19. But Buddy Biancalana was a 4.88, so there was really no choice. Had to use Pacoda. 4.E19, and the 4 and a 3 is going to cost him a hit. 4 and a 3 is a base hit. That's an 8, and he's an E19 at shortstop. There is no 8, but it will be a base hit for Tim Hewlett off of Quisenberry, as Mr. Pacoda was unable to get to that. Here's Ken Williams. .35. That's a fly ball to left. That's 2 down. So it'll be up to Ozzie Guillen if the White Sox are going to add to their lead. Bob James is loosening the White Sox bullpen. He would come in the 9th to finish things out. .45 against the left-hander for Quisenberry. 1-7's a triple. That's a 2. Ozzie Guillen just gets an RBI triple off of Quisenberry and gives the White Sox an insurance run they probably desperately need. It is now 6-4, but a triple for Guillen. He had 7 triples real world. This is his 4th triple of the season. On the replay, he had 7 triples. This is his 4th one, and it's a big RBI triple on that 4-5 result. And with it being a triple instead of a double, Hewlett doesn't have to worry about trying to score on a throw. There's just automatic triple. So here's Fred Manrique as Quisenberry unable to get out unscathed. That's a 1-7, and that's a strikeout for Manrique, but that's going to end the inning. But the White Sox pick up a critical extra run, and now Bob James, the other closer that they had with Thigpen, he will be coming on to pitch to try to close the deal. James on the replay was 4 and 6 with a 4.67 earned run average. Let's see what he's done in real world. James. Or see what he's done on the replay, I should say. So James on the replay is 1 and 1 with 5 saves and a 6.35 earned run average. 17 innings pitched, 21 hits, 6 walks, 13 strikeouts. So the bullpens, James has not been the best in the world, but and that could be why the White Sox only have a 500 record at best, even if they win this game. It's going to be Beniquez, Pacoda, and Quirk. Those are the scheduled hitters. Bo Jackson's still lingering on the bench, and if they get somebody on base and need a home run, you may see Bo Jackson pinch hit. All right, here is Beniquez against Bob James. It's a 4-8, and that is a pop-up to first. 1 away, and that'll bring up Pacoda. Beniquez pops it up to first. So here's Pacoda for his first at bat. On the replay, is hitting .208, a homer and 2 driven in on the real season. he hit 276. So a pretty good hitter with 276 average. 310 for Pacoda is a split chance. 1 to 6 is a single. That's a 3. So Pacoda gets himself a base hit, and we will get a pinch hitter for Jamie Quirk. And it will be Bo Jackson. It will be Mr. Jackson. Bo knows. They're going for the gusto right here. And Larry Owen would come in to catch if it went to a bottom of the ninth. But Bo Jackson is going to pinch hit here in the top of the ninth with Pacoda at first base. And 1 out. He is the tying run at the plate. So we bring in Bo and get his numbers on the replay. Bo on real season 87 was hit a 235 average with 22 home runs. So he's got some home run chances on his card. You see the diamond shots on got 3 diamond shots on his card. Of course, Comiskey Park's not going to help that. On the replay, he is hitting 238. Again, he hit 235 real world. So on the replay, he's hitting 238, 6 homers, 16 driven in. Hey, Canadian, good to see you. So James pitching to the pinch hitter, Bo Jackson. That's a 4-9, and that's going to be a line out to second base. So Bo fails in the pinch on the 4-9. Would have been a fly ball to left if we had had Quirk still in the game, so it would have been an out either way you go. And now it's down to Willie Wilson, last chance for the Royals. Willie Wilson is the tying run at the plate. That's a 1-7, and that's going to be a ground ball to second. That'll do it. Ball game is over. Manrique to first, and that will do it. The White Sox have won it by the score of 6-4. And we'll come back and get the totals and get you set for tomorrow's game between the Brewers and the Twins. So with that victory, the White Sox even their record at 21-21. The Royals dropped to 22-21. So the race is tightening in the American League West as a jockey for position. So Quisenberry went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits and a run. No walks and a strikeout. James went 1 inning, gave up a hit but nothing else. So the winning pitcher is Rich Dotson. He is now 5-2. Bob James picks up his 6th save. The loss goes to Lee Brandt. He is 2-4 now. Final line score: 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the White Sox. 4 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors for the Kansas City Royals. Game 306 is in the books. With that, we, much like Bob Seger sang, we turn the page. Therefore, the two-sided being really good deal. We turn the page, and we have Milwaukee and Minnesota. That'll be the game tomorrow, game 307 from the Metrodome. Frank Viola against Bill Wegman. Milwaukee fighting for first place in the East. They're 26-14. Minnesota 22-22 in the AL West as they all try to chase Oakland down. But that'll be the game tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, roughly 9 o'clock. Hopefully you can be there for that. Didn't get a chance to play my demolition game last night, but I plan to play it probably this afternoon. I might not do it tonight. I might do it this afternoon. I don't know. I have to wait and see. But I've been waiting to play this Pittsburgh-San Diego game for a couple of days now. So we're going to get that going. 2024 Demolition League. But for now, Chicago White Sox defeat the Kansas City Royals by the score of 6-4. Player of the game, Ozzie Guillen. He went 3 for 4 with a run scored and, of course, an RBI on that triple to give him an insurance run. So we're giving Ozzie Guillen the player of the game. Mr. Ozzie Guillen, future manager of the White Sox, as it turned out, winning a World Series in 2005. But Ozzie Guillen is your player of the game as he went 3 for 4. to give the White Sox or help a lending hand in the White Sox victory. So now, what does that do to the standings? Let's look at the standings as we head into the final game of the day tomorrow. Milwaukee will be playing tomorrow, but it's it's the Yankees and Toronto tied for first. Milwaukee a half game back. If Milwaukee beats Minnesota tomorrow, it'll be a three-way tie for first place. In the West, Oakland now leads Kansas City by 2.5, and the White Sox by 3, and the Twins by 3. So they're all right there together. So long way to go. We're just near the end of May, but at the end of May, once the calendar switches over to June, before it does, I'll do a complete mini video just on the computer showing the stats up to the stats after the 2 months of the season, so you can see how your favorite players are doing compared to their normal to what they did in real world and so forth. So Ozzie Guillen, player of the game, but we flip the page over for tomorrow. It'll be Milwaukee and Minnesota from the Metrodome. Frank Viola against Bill Wegman. Wegman 4-1, Viola 5-2. Should be a good matchup. Game number 307, final game of May 27th. And of course, the Metrodome very hitter friendly. Singles 16-13 and home runs 11-11. So appreciate all you guys who tuned in and spent part of your Thursday morning with me. Till next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.